It is 11:01. So Terri, I don't want to take advantage of people's time. I think we should jump right on in.
All right. And so I'm going to start today a little different than I did last time. I had a conversation with Ben, and I've had this same conversation with several, not agents, that's not true, managers and owners. And let me tell you what that conversation sounded like. And if I had thought about this, I probably would have reversed it. But this is what the conversation sounded like. Terri, we appreciate your time. And yes, we'd love to do the buyer process. But here's the problem. We don't have enough inventory. Is that the case in your market? And the answer is yes. I already know that because I know that. It's my market too, number one. And number two, I had a couple of great conversations with Ben about it. And in my true Terri Johnson format, I'm going to be super frank and honest because it's just my friends that are on here, right? And if we're low on inventory, here's what I think the problem is. I think we're not reaching out to our people. And so I want to start today, before we start to the buyer process, about how can we get more listings? Because see, here's what every owner and manager wants me to do. Well, okay, we can do that, Terri, but can you first tell us how to get more listings? Well, I did already, but I don't think you heard me. So I'm going to say it a different way this time. And I know you'll get it. If you're a ninja, you'll get it. If you're not a ninja, you'll get it after today. So some of you have seen this before, but I want to remind you of a ninja principle, if you will. There's two types of mindsets, and I'm not talking about our mindset. I'm talking about business right now. There's two types of mindset that we're dealing with right now, and always in real estate. There's the realtor transaction mindset, and there's the ninja referral mindset. And I'd like to remind you what this looks like so that I can show you how to get more inventory in your market, okay? So the realtor transaction mindset is very transactionally focused. And here's what their internal dialogue sounds like. They bought their house, they're good to go for 7 to 9 years. Where's my next deal going to come from? Where's my next deal going to come from? And I won't ask you because I would never embarrass you, but let me just tell you about me. From probably absolutely from 1990 to 2001, this was my mindset all the time. Phew, closed another one. Where's my next deal going to come from? Everyone was a deal because I was a realtor. I was a salesperson. I sold houses. And quite frankly, I probably actually sold houses during that 11 years, which, by the way, some of those people probably don't like me anymore because I sold them the house. If you'll keep in mind, and if you don't know this, you'll recognize it when I tell you, in Ninja, we're going to stop selling. That's our unique principle number one. But if we're going to stop selling, what are we going to do? If we're going to stop doing something, what are we going to replace it with? And of course, we're going to replace it with start attracting. See, if you sold someone a house, you sold it to them, and people don't like to be what? Sold. Nobody likes to be sold. We love to spend money. We love to buy, but we don't like to be sold. So part of our industry, a large part of our industry, is very transaction focused, and they're thinking, I close these guys, I need another transaction. So I want to show you a diagram that will demonstrate what that transaction mindset looks like. And it's a pie chart, and it simply says that there's all these disruptors, disturbers, competition, whatever you want to call it. I don't like to call these disruptors or disturbers because they're just other people doing what we do, who, by the way, are doing really well in our industry because we're not. And they have figured out with technology how to know when someone is going to buy or sell real estate. When do you think they're going to buy or sell? And right now it's between 7 and 9 years. So for the sake of demonstration, it's every 8 years in my pie graph, right? And so because the transaction focused realtor doesn't know where their next deal's going to come from, they go to places like, and I'm not picking on Zillow. I happen to have even more of an affection for Zillow since the Inman conference last week, and I'll speak more about that in just a moment. But Zillow has figured out how to figure out when people are going to move. right? So they go to Zillow, that transaction-focused agent, they pay for leads. These leads are typically people who are demonstrating what's probably become, I don't know the right jargon because I'm not that technologically inclined, but it's that person that's going to move. They're doing things that those people do, whatever that looks like, right? And so the transaction-focused agent goes to Zillow or whomever and says, yeah, I'll pay you for some leads because I want to sell a house. And they give them leads, and there's lots of people. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this. I'm just saying that we don't focus on strangers. We focus on people that know us. So they buy leads from Zillow and they run a business that way. But that's looking for your next transaction. Where's my next lead going to come from? So the second mindset of this type is, of course, our mindset. Ninjas are different. We have a referral mindset, and a referral mindset or a referral focused mindset says something like this to themselves. These clients know, these people know, these friends and family know at least 4 people that are going to move every year. How do I, hear me friends, earn the referrals? How do I, if all you wanted to do was access that business, you could go to Zillow. But I want to earn those referrals. I want to do such a great job that people call me back and say, would you, I have some friends, would you be willing to work with them? How do I access and earn those referrals? Now, some statistics that I haven't shared because I just got them from Larry Kendall in the last few weeks. But ninjas, here's a profile of Ninja's business. And if I were able, or if I had thought to, like, first of all, I didn't even know Tina was going to be on this call. I could have asked Josh the same question. But if I would have asked someone that I know does a really great business, I bet it would have fallen somewhat like this. Somebody that's absolutely, totally a ninja, running their business like a ninja. Statistically, 33% of their business is repeat and database clients. Another 33% are referral from those database clients, family, friends, and so on. And then the last 33% are referrals that I got during the transaction because I'm a ninja and I know what I focus on expands, right? And ninjas think like this. Can't wait to see who my next deal is going to be because it will be a referral from the person I'm working with right now. Now, it might not be during the escrow period. Speaking, my next transaction is embedded in my last transaction. It's even true in what I do. My next class is always embedded in my current class. My next Zoom call is embedded in my current Zoom call. It is always that way if you provide value. And so surely you see where I'm going with this, you guys, okay? You know where the inventory is. It's just you want a magic answer, which, by the way, if I had a magic answer, I would love to give it to you, but I don't have one because it's not magic. It's, am I loving on? Am I meeting the needs of my people? Because see, what we know to be absolutely true, according to Harris Interactive, is that every American household knows at least 4 people who moved last year. Now, notice it says at least. So on average, they know 4 households that are going to need a realtor. Every household knows a household or 4 that are going to need a realtor. Now, you're not going to get all of them, and we don't even want all of them because anybody that's a ninja wants a life outside of real estate. Therefore, we don't want all that business. We want our enough, whatever that is. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's right for you. It's your enough. So every American household knows 4 people that are going to move. But am I in the flow with? Am I consistently in the flow with my households? Because here's that same diagram, but now I'm going to take it and I'm going to put a different spin on it, of course. I'm going to put the ninja business strategy on it. So I've got my folks and I've closed this transaction. But now I actually wish this didn't say start, because what in my world I would have put on this, but I'm not allowed to change it, is the continuation of that relationship. So now I've closed a transaction. Let's pretend it was a stranger that somebody that loves me told me about, and I closed that transaction, but now it's a relationship. So now I have the opportunity to continue that relationship because I'm very referral minded. I'm not wondering where my next deal is going to come from. I'm wondering how I'm going to handle all the business I'm going to get because I'm focused on the people that know me, like me, and trust me. And what Harris Interactive tells me is that every single year there's going to be 4 people that buy or sell that come from just that one client that I just closed. Oh, and then by the way, they're going to buy or sell sometime in that 7 to 9 year period. And because I know them, I'm near certain I'm going to get that business. So there's 34 potential transactions from every person who knows me, likes me, and trusts me if I stay in the flow with them, right? Now, let's talk about that year 6. How am I so confident? I'm sorry, year 8. How am I so confident that I'll get those 2 extra transactions, which is the person that knows me, likes me, and trusts me? They're also going to buy or sell. Well, that's easy. They're not a transaction to me. They're not a deal to me. They're a friend. They're somebody that looks to me as their proactive, trusted real estate advisor. Therefore, I know what their plans are because they've been talking to me. If any of you missed this, and if you did, I'm not trying to get you to spend more money when it's when we're in the condition we're in, okay? But I paid last week to attend Inman Connect. If you didn't, you still can. It was $49. Are you kidding me? There were 125 of the best speakers ever, of which I listened to 6. But let me tell you something I heard from Rich Barton, the founder of Zillow. I thought this was just off the hook brilliant because it was so real. So first of all, Brad Inman. If you don't know who Inman is, it's Brad Inman. It's a family-owned business that just shares all kinds of, just a ton of knowledge with us about the real estate industry. So Brad Inman's a guy that's, I don't know, maybe a little bit younger than me, but about my age, right? And I've never seen him in person, but Inman Connect couldn't happen this year. And so he took it virtual. And it wasn't perfect, by the way. And you know what? I didn't care at all, because nobody cares these days if you screw up virtually, because it's just our new normal. And so we'll figure it out, right? So it wasn't perfect. But anyway, so on the day that he was interviewing Rich Barton, the Zillow CEO and founder, I just found this to be hilarious, okay? And I thought, like, okay, is anybody else noticing this? So he's on a Zoom call, right? Now, I'm funny. I guess maybe insecure would be the right word. I would never have a Zoom call if I didn't have it set up perfectly, right? So I'm in my little world that looks pretty ninja, right? So Rich Barton, the man, right, is in his bedroom. Now, I'm wondering if anybody else is noticing that he's in his bedroom. Like the bed's behind him. It's perfect. It's pretty, but he's in his bedroom. It's Rich Barton. Like, did you think maybe you should be somewhere where there was a picture behind you? But he didn't care, right? And so there's this chair, beautiful red chair behind him, and his bed's all perfect, but he's in his bedroom at his desk. And Brad Inman interviews him, but Brad finally says, and I was so glad because I'm hung up on it from the moment it starts. He goes, so Rich, no offense, friend, but you're in your bedroom. Like, is that the best you could do? I don't think he said, is that the best you could do? But he said, like, what do why? And I want you to hear why I'm sharing this with you. Rich Barton replied with this. Yeah, I know I'm in my bedroom. He goes, let me tell you something, Brad. Something I didn't know until COVID. When this is all over, because right now I'm stuck in my bedroom, like I'm on this all the time. This is where my work is, right? So here I sit all the time. But when this is all over, I need a new house. Either we're going to remodel or I must have a new house. Here's the deal. I can't work from my bedroom. It's the only place I can escape to that the dog's not barking. My wife works from home. We're all trying to do what we do from home. The bedroom is mine, right? So yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's my bedroom, but every call is as important as this one is. And so deal with it. But here's what I took from that. We're talking about somebody that is, to me, and this is just me, but he's super impressive. He's younger, middle-aged, wealthy, brilliant, pouring millions of dollars into our industry. And not only everyone else, but Rich Barton has discovered that his pain is too great. And when this is over, I need to move. I either need to remodel, or I need to sell this house and move. So if Rich Barton's agent happens to be a ninja and happened to be on that call, I hope the next call they made was, hey, Rich, how are you feeling today? Not, hey, are you thinking about buying or selling? I just watched your, no, but how are you? Because I'll tell you how Rich is. He's not that great. I mean, he's good, but he needs some space because our world is going to change. I feel like now I just want to go into this whole thing about what I learned on Inman, but I probably shouldn't do that because it wasn't my ideas, it was theirs. But our world has changed, and it's different. And what Josh and I are about to demonstrate for you is something that I feel is absolutely imperative to your future success. But also, where is my next deal going to come from? Let me just tell you again, but I'll tell you a little more pointedly than I did on the last call. I was kind of easy on you on the last call because we were all kind of tender, and we were, I was crying here and there, and I told you that, and I didn't know why, because I just don't even know what's going on in the world, right? No reason, just am. But I'm over it, and you need to be over it too, because here's what's happened. Life is going on. Now, again, please, with no disrespect to somebody that's suffering with COVID or has lost somebody to COVID, just in our worlds of business, life is going to go on. And I don't want it to go on without me, and I don't want it to go on without you. And I feel very strongly that if we don't pick up the phone and I'm going to still say it. I'm going to still ask you, would you please FaceTime somebody? And talk to them face to face and be real with them and tell them the truth about how you're feeling, but ask them the same thing. Because if you happen to call your Rich Barton, who you thought would never move, who's got it all together, who you feel, and I'm talking like from my vantage point, right, is way smarter than you and has more than you're ever going to have because you don't really want that, he's going to move. And if he doesn't call someone, if somebody doesn't call him, he'll go out and find the best agent, and somebody's feelings will get hurt because they didn't call them. And that will be because they lost touch with him. So if Ben happens to be on this call, which we already talked about this, not this in particular, but no, I can't tell you where to go to get, I'm not Rich Barton. I don't own Zillow. I'm not going to sell you leads. You want leads? Call your people. They know people who no longer have to live closer to San Jose because that's where their job is. Many of the speakers said that the people that live in Modesto and Oakdale and Escalon and Stockton and so on, they still get to keep that high-paying job in San Jose, but everyone's figured out that it's better for all of us, them included, that they can live in the suburbs, still make that money, but they're more productive at home. So I kind of feel like I'm preaching because I feel really passionate about this, but your next listings are embedded in your last transactions, or if you're on this call and you're brand new, they're embedded in the people that know you, like you, and trust you. Or if you're brand new and you were airdropped into your market, they're in the lives of the people that you choose to be your geographical farm that no one else is calling because their head is in the sand or they're sleeping on their surfboard waiting for the wave, and the wave is going to overtake them and they're not going to get the business. The business is out there, but if we don't seek it, it's not that likely that you're going to find it. All right, last thing I want to share with you about this, and then we're going to go into the buyer process, is NAR says we stay in the business approximately 4 cycles. On average, we stay in the business 32 years. So if we've got 34 transactions from one client in 4 cycles, which would be 32 years, that's 136 total. So I want to show you the lifetime value of one client. Now, there's pros and cons to what I'm going to share with you right now. Most people say don't ever share something that's unbelievable, because if you do, they'll check out. So I'm going to beg you right now, because I'm going to close with this and go into the buyer process. Don't check out, because it's unbelievable. Don't check out. I'm going to show you the real numbers. And I based my real numbers on an average price of $350. Okay. So the lifetime value of one client over a 32-year career, 136 transactions at about a 10,500. Change this. If your average price is 200, change that to 6,000. If your average price is 500, change that to 15,000. You do the math, okay? But average at 350, 10,500 per transaction is 1,428,000, okay? 36 transactions in a lifetime. Let's just pretend, one client, let's just pretend that you had 100 people on your database. Now, most of us know that we have way more than that, but I'm trying to keep it as believable as possible, and I've already messed that up, okay? 100 households at 1.428, $128,800,000 for 100 people. Now, you do your math, okay? Don't believe me, just you do your math. Now, let's take it back down just a tad and divide that by the number of years that we'll be in the business. Commissions available per year from 100 households, 4.4, almost $4.5 million. Now, to make this just a little more believable, I don't know about you, but I have no interest in serving 4 of every one of my clients' friends. I don't need that much business. That's way more than my enough. But then I go, okay, would I be happy with only 2 referrals from each one? 2,200,000. Yeah, probably. Actually, it's a little steep for me. I don't want to work that much. I like life way more than that. Okay, would you be good with 1 from every single one? Are you with me? I mean, you guys, where's your next listing? It's waiting for you to call. It's sitting there waiting for you to call and say, how are you feeling? How's it? How's your job going? You know, because they're going to ask you how real estate is, but keep going back to them: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. How is homeschooling going? That's questions kind of off the table because it's summer, but you certainly can ask, how did the homeschooling go? Because you know what they're going to tell you? I hope I'm not the teacher again next year. There's so much to be harvested from the people that already know me, like me, and trust me. Are you willing to pick up the phone? Stop asking me where your next deal is. Stop asking me, Terri, can you teach me how to find the next listing? I have twice now. I'm going to ask you, and you can answer or not when you want or not, but it's up to you. Are you picking up the phone and loving on your people? Because that's where the next transaction is going to come from. So with that, I would like to switch gears just a little bit, and Josh and I are going to role play. And so Josh, I'm going to pin your video, and you might want to do the same just for the sake of our recording, because then it'll switch, you know, back and forth to me, to you, to me, to you. So here's what happened with Josh before we start our role play. Josh called me last week because I'm his trusted advisor. And he said, Terri, I'm thinking about buying a house. Here's the cool thing about this call. We did not practice at all. And that was on purpose. I wanted this to be just like you getting a call from somebody who you don't know who they are, or you might know who they are, but you had no idea they were going to call. You didn't call them. They called you. And Josh said, Terri, I'm thinking that we might buy a house. I asked him to be a single guy since him and his wife aren't both on the call. So he said, I'm thinking about buying a house. Would you be willing to help me out with that? And I said, absolutely. Josh, here's the deal. And I said this on the phone. I said, we can get together if you'd like to. But I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've mastered my buyer consultation virtually. And so if you would like to, just as often as we can do it virtually. How about we have a virtual call on Tuesday, and we'll just go through a little bit of my process, and then, and only when we have to, we'll get together face to face. And Josh said, hey, that sounds fine with me. And so that's where we are today. So Josh has called me. One more thing I asked Josh. I said, Josh, I want to send you what I call my buyer package, if you will. And I said, I prefer to send it in the mail, but if you're not comfortable with receiving it in the mail, I'd be happy to send it to you via email. And he said, why don't you mail it? But if you don't mind, email it to me as well. And I said, perfect, I'll do both. And so I did. So now this is that call. So Josh, are you unmuted? I think you are.
I am.
Okay. So Josh, hey, thanks so much for being willing to meet virtually today. How are you?
I'm doing really good, Terry. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm super good. I'm loving that we're getting a little bit more activity, and I'm super happy that you were willing to meet virtually just to get the process started, and just appreciate you. And like I said, I want to ask you a few questions and see where you are and why you're doing what you're doing. Hey, Josh, before we get started, is it okay with you? I literally have a bunch of stuff I want to ask you. Is it okay with you if I take notes while we're talking?
Yeah, I could think of nothing better. Would love for you to do that. No problem.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So since you probably noticed I didn't ask you a ton of questions on the phone when you called, and you might have even thought that was kind of odd, but I had a reason. And that's because I wanted to get together face to face and really get a feel for what you're doing. So give me just a little overview. I'm going to ask a lot of questions, but overview. What prompted the call?
Well, I'm just to be honest, I'm super nervous right now. Like my palms are sweaty even just thinking about this idea of buying a house. But
okay,
I'm getting older, and I keep on paying rent, and it's just I just feel like I'm throwing my money away, and I'm nervous. But I just am tired of throwing money away. I want to build my own wealth rather than somebody else's, I guess. And
okay.
man, my landlord's been my landlord for 10 years. And I think
Wow.
about how much money I've spent in rent for the last 10 years at $2,000 a month. And it's like, I've spent over $200,000 in rent.
Wow.
And it
Well, that's
makes
another way to look at it.
to think about that.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Well, that's really insightful on your part. And before we go any further, the whole purpose of this, Josh, is to help calm your nerves. I'm sure you're nervous. You've never owned a home, I'm assuming. I'm kind of feeling that. Okay. So having never owned a home and living in an area like we do, I mean, it's a huge investment. It's a huge undertaking. So I just want to assure you, and I think you'll feel way better when we're done today. Just know that that's what I'm here for. I've got your back. No matter how nervous you are, no matter what questions you have, that's why, should you choose to decide to work with me, that's why you called. Okay. You may not have known that, but we'll be connected like this, because I will get you through the entire process and make sure you understand everything before we go on to the next step. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah. I mean, Terry, I wasn't going to call anybody else. I mean, we met 7 years ago, and I get cards from you. So it's like, who else am I supposed to call? You're the person that I know.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate so much you feeling that way. So tell me, I mean, you've never done it, you've never experienced it. And so by the way, if your answer is, I don't have a clue, I'm fine with that. I just want to get where you are. So do you have any idea what you hope this process will look like from start to finish? I mean, like if you had been daydreaming about it, what is this process going to look like from start to finish?
Well, I'm really busy, and probably
Okay.
part of the reason why I've waited so long to buy a house, and I've lived in the same house for 10 years, is I'm really busy. So I can't I I can't spend a lot of time looking for a house. I
Okay.
really, if I'm going to buy a house, it's got to be the right house, and I can't go look at 45 homes and hope to get one of them. It's got to be the right house at the right time, and
Okay.
uh, I'm I don't want my time to get screwed with, I guess is,
Okay.
no, that sounds
I
bad.
get it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And that's why I'm asking you, Josh. I want to serve you in the way that best serves you. And you just told me a whole bunch. You don't have time. You don't want to make a mistake, and you want to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
So bottom line, my job is to make sure you're comfortable at that pace with this process.
Yeah.
Are
I've
you
read a lot of
familiar
stuff
at,
online and stuff. I've researched a lot of stuff, and
okay.
and it says that in like 30 days I could be in a house is what it looked like on average or something. And that's scary to think about, having to move and everything and
Right.
figure out packing up my house and all that. I mean, there's just so much to moving. It's overwhelming.
Well, and even that whole so much to moving, overwhelming thing, I can help you should you decide you want to get help with that because of how busy you are. But let's stick right now with just the process of actually buying a house, because of course the move is a whole nother level of nervousness. Trust me. It's a lot. It's a lot. So to have a trusted advisor in your corner is going to be of utmost importance. So you just said something that makes me feel like you've done a little bit of your homework. You've done a lot of study online. Are you feeling like you're kind of familiar with how real estate works in this area?
Um, I'd love to say yes, but I feel like I can't believe everything you read online. So I
Right. Sure.
read it online, it could be totally wrong. So I would say no, I'm not
Okay.
comfortable with.
Okay. So then I'm gonna presume with that answer that you're not really even familiar with the current market conditions. Would that be a safe assumption?
Yeah, I mean, I see some houses in my neighborhood go on the market or whatever, and then they're gone all of a sudden. So
Right.
it seems like, things are selling, I guess, even with all the pandemic and everything.
I'll tell you what, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy how busy we've been during the pandemic and how different we have to handle things. But here's the thing, Josh, life goes on. No matter how this ends up, people still have to have a place to live. So you're right. But the reason I asked you if you were familiar with how the market works in this area, so I sent you your buyer package. You got this, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
Okay. Okay. So
I don't have it
and
sitting in
whether
front of me. I left it at the house today when I came to the
it's
office.
okay.
Sorry.
It's no problem at all. In fact, what I was going to say was you don't need it today. I want to tell you a little bit about it, but what you need to know about it today, I'll tell you about. But you may have looked inside and you may not have. But on the right-hand side, you will notice when you open it that it's just a whole bunch of stuff about me, about my company, about the process itself, how it works. I mean, all the way from start to finish. So an education on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you're going to find a ton of contracts. We're Californians. Let's be honest. We like contracts, okay? There are tons of contracts, sample contracts. There are disclosures. There's even a COVID disclosure. Do you know that the state of California, I don't know how many days, but it felt like it had only been about a week, maybe two, and they had a COVID disclosure required for us real estate agents in California. So all of the documentation that's required is on the left-hand side, and not for you to understand in its entirety, but if you're the type that likes to read through it completely, I wanted you to have a copy of it before we get together, and I expect you to be willing to sign a contract. And then lastly are those two loose pages that are in the middle, and those will be the two that we talk about today. And those are what's called the agency disclosure, my fiduciary responsibility to you as your agent, and the buyer broker agreement. But we'll come back to those. So everything about the process is in that file and will be there for you to look at your leisure. Good?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
if you don't mind, as elementary as this seems, I want to show you something, Josh. What I have found in my career is that even though you may not realize this, you subliminally are probably thinking, I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to pay too much. I want it to be the right house. I don't have time for it to take forever. I'm a little bit different than most agents in that I use a process of elimination versus a process of selection. Let me explain what that means. If you had called another agent, typically, unless the other agent was schooled the way I have been, they would have asked you, yes, I would love to, I'd love to help you find a house. Tell me, what are you looking for, Josh? And you would have rattled off what you were looking for and the price point you were looking for, and they would have selected listings to show you based on what you said. I, on the other hand, use a little bit different system. I call it the funnel process. And tell me if you can see it good, because I can't see me in the phone call. Can you see this whole funnel?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so that's my version of a funnel, pardon my drawing. And what I want to do is I want to put every single thing in that funnel that's a possibility. And then I want to funnel it through a bunch of filters, if you will, till we get to what will work for Josh. Okay. So for instance, and I haven't asked you this yet, which you might have thought was kind of interesting, but you've been online, you've been studying. So that tells me you've probably been looking online. Has there been a house or two that you've looked at and thought to yourself, oh, I got to have that one. That is it. Has there been any like that you liked?
Definitely. There's a few houses that,
okay.
Yeah. Hey,
okay.
Terri, if we can jump out for a second, somebody's
Yep.
commenting that they cannot see what you're doing on there. I think you might still be sharing your screen, and so they can see what's on the board.
Yes. Nope. You're right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. We should be good now.
Up now.
Okay. Thank you so much. That would have been a bummer. All right. So now you can see me fine, Josh?
I can.
Everybody else can see me good? Okay. So you've got a house or two that you've seen that you like. And so I'm going to call that yours. Okay. So you've been doing your homework and you've got yours, and I'm going to put that in the funnel, that house that you found that you like. Now, here's another question. You've already told me you've been looking online. So is there a certain site or sites that you use to just browse to look at houses? And if so, what are they?
Well, a lot of times I just kind of, like, if I see a house and I wonder about it when I'm driving through my neighborhood, I just put the address in. So I feel like it usually takes me to like Zillow or
okay.
Redfin.
Yep.
Sometimes
okay.
Trulia.
Okay. These are all amazing sites because they've got all of our listings. That they've got so much information. But let me share with you, and I'm not discouraging looking there. I just want you to understand what you're seeing there. Number one, you're seeing everything. Okay. But there's another site, and I'm going to call it our multiple listing service, but there's another site that I'll start sending you listings from. And by the way, Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, and many others get all of their listings from us agents, when we put our listings on the MLS, the multiple listing service. So for instance, you're not just going to get my listings from my company. You'll get all of the Century 21, all of the Berkshire Hathaway, all of the other companies in town. We all share our listings on the MLS. The reason I want you to understand this is I call the MLS the gold standard, because they get all of their information from us. And so it's there too, but here's the difference. Let's just pretend that 123 Main Street was a house that you just have to have. And you tell me that address and you say you got it on Zillow, and I go, perfect, let me look it up. And I look it up and I go, oh, bummer, Josh. That went pending on November 30th, 2019. See, the difference between these two is ours is updated every minute, Theirs is not. These folks, all the listings are there, but what they do is they sell leads. They sell people like you to agents. Not a bad thing, okay? So that the agents have business, but they don't typically market pending or sold nearly as quickly as we do. If you saw 123 Main Street today on my list and called me tomorrow and said you wanted it and it went pending, it would say pending sale. It's that accurate. So always check anything you see or anything you see here with the gold standard. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. Just double check it, because I don't want you to fall in love with something here and then I can't do it for you. Okay. All right. So
no, that would stink.
Yeah, it totally does. And it's misleading. And I don't think they do it on purpose. It's just not what their job is. What about new home sales? Would you consider, if it would work for you, would you consider a new home?
No, because I feel like with the new homes, like you've got to put in your own yard. You've got to, and I really want a place with a pool. And if I'm putting a pool into a new home, it's going to be $45,000 to $80,000. So
right.
No.
Okay. One more question about that, because I've done it before. What if I knew of a model that was the model home that had a pool? Would you let me duck in and show you just that model if it would work for you?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a brand new house, never been lived in, and it's got a pool in the backyard, sure.
Okay. All right. So it's a big maybe, but you would consider it.
It would have to be perfect.
Okay. Are you familiar with the what's called a for sale by owner?
Sure. Yeah. I see signs out in front of people's houses and stuff.
Exactly. So if you see one in an area that you like, do me a quick favor and either snap a picture and text it to me, or text me the address or the phone number or whatever, because most of those for sale by owners are willing to work with an agent. In fact, in 2019, according to the National Association of Realtors, 97%, so 93% used an agent. Only 7% of for sale by owners actually sold without an agent involved. So if you see a for sale by owner, don't put yourself in the position of having to negotiate that. Call me with the information. Let me get in touch with that agent, that seller, and see if I can get us in the door. Okay.
Well, if you're busy, is it a problem for me to just give them a call and try to, go over and see it really quick if I'm off?
If you want to give them a call, you can. Here's the problem you may run into. They may say, no, he already came by and saw the house. He doesn't have an agent, and you're going to lose the ability to have me negotiate on your behalf. If you're okay with that and you just want to buy through the seller and risk not having any what's the right word? Any backup, if you will, somebody checking everything for you, then absolutely you can. That's completely up to you. Okay. You make that decision. There's also a type of home in our area, although I'm already thinking, and I haven't even asked you what you're looking for yet, it's going to be pretty unlikely, but just in case, there are some homes that are called REOs or short sales, which are homes that folks have either are going into foreclosure or have been foreclosed on. Now, it kind of sounds like that you're really looking for something that's in a lot better condition. But again, if I see something that's a possibility, I'll certainly let you know. The last category I want to tell you about at my company that I love that we do is we have a category called Coming Soon. And we put on our intranet, if you will, any listings. So if I have a listing that's coming on the market in a certain area within the next 2 weeks, I let my entire company know. You don't get to see it yet because we follow all the rules. And so you'll get to see it at the same time that anybody else does. However, it gives you a little bit of time to be thinking about it, to know more about it, to drive by it. So you have a little bit of an advantage, okay? The bottom line with this mess right here is that I think you probably can see that when I do this, what happens is I eliminate the possibility of you missing anything. I don't want you to miss anything, but I also don't want you to have to look at 1,300 houses. You already said you didn't even want to look at 45. You certainly don't want to look at everything that's on the market. So I begin to funnel all of this through my funnel so that you don't miss anything that might work for you. And then secondly, I don't want you to pay too much. You didn't mention anything about paying too much, but I want to educate you a little bit on this right here and right now, because it's just the right spot. And that is, you've noticed that homes are coming on the market and then selling rather quickly. So when I say I don't want you to pay too much, what I want you to be certain to understand is I don't mean, Josh, it's listed at $350. Do you want to pay $350, or is that too much? Because here's the truth. Most of us are listing houses right where we know they'll appraise in order to promote multiple offers. Most houses are selling for more than they're listed for. So what I mean by too much is, if we go out and we look at 5 houses, let's say. I narrow it down and we look at 5 houses. I want you, can you still see this?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to always have what I'm going to call a rolling top. And in this market, I'm going to call it a 2, because we'll be lucky if there's 2 that are your favorites.
Okay.
But a rolling top 2 or a favorite or 3. But bottom line is, we'll go back to the office and we'll do an analysis on that property to make sure that what too much is to you is X. So if it's listed at 350 and I go, so at 350, Josh, here's what's sold in that area. Here's how quickly it's sold. It's likely that this could go for as much as 365-ish. What's too much to you? And you and I will discuss that, so that never on day 2 or the morning after will I call you and go, Josh, that house you loved, yeah, it went pending. All I know is it went for over list price. And then we find out it sold for 357 and you would have been willing to pay 365. That's not going to happen on my watch, because you and I are going to discuss all of this together.
Okay.
Does this look like a process that will work for you?
It does. Now, a lot of times I have, like, half an hour here, half an hour there. You talked about going to see houses and going back to your office. I don't know if I always have time for that. Like, can we do that differently?
Yep. In fact, nowadays, and especially with my super busy clients, yes, we're doing what we're doing right now because of COVID. But here's the truth, Josh. I'm near certain this is going to become a new norm. Everybody's busy. Everybody's working. Lots of people are working from home. They got 30 minutes on their lunch break. So yes, you'll go back home, you'll go to work. I'll do my work, my homework, and then we'll set up a Zoom call at 3:15 on your afternoon break and talk for 10 minutes and we're good to go. So absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks.
Absolutely. You bet. All right. So I didn't ask you this. I'm curious. How do you, if you rated yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, I'm just nervous and I don't know when I'll buy, but I know I want to buy, and 10 being, if I found the house I'd buy today, where would you say you are in the process?
So 10 is if I found the house I'd buy today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably like an 8, 9. I'm ready to go.
Okay. Okay. So what would have to happen for you to be a 10?
Find the house.
Okay. Oh, good answer. Okay. So I asked you.
I'm telling you, I'm tired of paying somebody else's mortgage payment.
And I don't blame you, because the truth is, you probably will have a smaller mortgage than you do your rent. So brilliant on your part. Brilliant. So I asked you in my email, I said, Josh, if you would please, it's really important for this call. I asked you to make me a list of everything that you'd like in your next home. Did you do that for me?
I did. I got it right here.
You might have found that odd that I that I didn't ask you for those over the phone, and there was a reason. Do me a favor really quick, and I've got time. I'm yours for the next couple of hours if I need to be, okay? How many items are on that list? Just glance at it and give me a guesstimate.
Somewhere around 10 or 11.
All right. So do me a favor. And again, please take your time. No rush at all. Would you put a star by the 3 things that you can't live without? And just put a star by them. We'll talk about them when you're done. 3.
Okay. That was hard.
Okay. All right. It is hard, especially when I say make me a list of everything that you can't live without, or yeah, that you want in your next house. All right. So give me your first star, and in no particular order. Just give me your first one. What was your first star on your page?
Pool. I'm not
Pool.
going to live in this hot valley without a pool in my backyard.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Why do you want a pool? Tell me in Josh terms what a pool means to you. What will it look like? What will you do with it? How does it make you feel? I want to hear your version of why you want a pool.
Well, it's twofold. Number one, I spend a lot of time driving, and so when I get home, I want to just be able to jump in my pool, swim a couple laps, move a little bit, and kind of just like wash off the day. That's one. And then number two is my kids come to visit me, and I want them to have something to do when it's really hot rather than just sit inside and play video games.
So if you don't mind me asking, how old are the kids?
They're 12 and 14.
12 and 14. What a great age to have a pool. Boys?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What else? Tell me what else a pool will do for you.
It's relaxation. For me, it's about the relaxation. It's washing the day off and kind of resetting for the day. It's relaxation.
Now, would it be safe for me to assume with the pool and with a 12 and 14-year-old that you'll have other kids coming over that'll be splashing around?
I hope so. I want our house to be a house where all of their friends want to come.
Okay. And that's important for me to know, because if you didn't have any kids and you were just going to sit next to it, a different type of pool might work. Whereas the 12 and 14-year-old, you need a little room because they're kind of rambunctious. All right. Very good. All right. What's your next star?
I think this is going to sound crazy, but my next star was a 3-car garage.
Okay.
And it's
so tell me.
My grandfather gave me the 65 Mustang.
Okay.
And it is just nice, and I want to have that garaged. And then I have a truck in my car, and I don't want to leave my cars outside in this valley. The sun, and then the dust when they're during harvest. So.
Okay. So you absolutely are using your garage for what it was meant for, and that's to put cars in. Yeah. Okay. And you said 3-car, so you sound pretty adamant that it needs to be a 3-car.
Yeah, that's why I put it at one of my top. I have to have a 3-car garage.
Let me ask you this. If I found you a 2-car garage with a carport, would that at all be, okay, so it's 3-car or nothing?
Yeah, I mean, it could have 4 cars. I mean, I'd be fine
of course.
With a 4-car garage, but.
Okay, got it. No problem. All right, what's your last star?
It's got to be in Manteca or Ripon.
Okay. And give me some reasons behind that, please.
For my job, I drive up to Sacramento. I could go over to the Bay Area, and it just cuts a lot of time out of my commute being up in that Manteca Ripon. But my kids, they live in the Modesto area, do a lot of stuff in Turlock as well. So it kind of puts me at a good for everything. Okay.
So what if I found you something on the Turlock side of Modesto? I'm sorry, Manteca. Well, you said Ripon. So what if I found you something on the Turlock side of Ripon?
As long as it's in Ripon, I'm okay with that.
Okay, perfect. Very good. Now I got good news for you, Josh. I want you to send me your entire list, because nothing would make me happier than to find you everything you want in your next home. But what we've learned scientifically speaking of buyers is if I can narrow it down to 3 must-haves, and I can find those 3 must-haves, most of the time your other 7 in your world would be somewhat negotiable. But I would imagine that there's several on there that you'd really, really, really like to have. They're just not one of your 3 stars. So get me the list and let me get started on doing my homework and seeing what there is out there that might work for you. I'm curious, have you heard of the, it's called the 85% perfect home concept. Have you heard of that?
No.
So you haven't bought a home before, so you probably haven't experienced it yourself. Do you know anybody that's ever built their own home?
Yeah, I do.
Somebody a friend?
Yeah.
So when they were done building it, did they ever say anything to you like, "Oh, you got to come see our house"? And then when they were showing it to you, go, "But man, I would have done this different." Or is it
Totally.
anything that
Yes.
it happens every time? I haven't built a house either, Josh, but I've had friends or whomever, invite you over and they show you this great place, but they always, "I would never do this again. This is way too small. What was I thinking when I did this?" It's never perfect. And I think it's my job to tell you up front that the perfect house doesn't exist. We'll find a house that's got a 3-car garage and a pool. But are you kidding me? It is not exactly where you want it. And then we'll find exactly where you want it with a pool and a 2.5-car or whatever, right? And so what I want you to understand is my job is I hope I can find those 3 things absolutely for sure. And then everything else, I hope, will be like, okay, can you, can you, or would you agree? If we found a house that was 85% what you wanted, would that be pretty good?
You know what? I'm okay with my kids getting a B in school, so I guess it would be, but I'd really like to get the A.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I just wanted to plant that seed because it seems like in my career, it's always, but I like the pool in that house, but I love the garage in that house. And it's just this constant, there is no such thing as a
Sure.
perfect home. But like I said, nothing would make me happier than to go, "Josh, guess what? You need to get over here immediately. I found 7 of 10 and all 3 of your stars are in there. When can you be here?" Like immediately, right? So I will do my best to get us where it is you want to go. Hey, I'm curious. You've done a lot of homework and looking around and so on. Have you talked to a lender yet?
Yeah, I went on like a bank calculator online and I put in like what I thought what I wanted my payment to be type thing. And like I had
Okay.
a couple of lenders call me off of that.
Okay. All right. Good. So you really committed to a lender yet?
No, I sent him my information, and I mean, there's somebody I talked with, and he was pretty nice, so he seemed like he was pretty knowledgeable.
Was it a local lender?
No, it's Quicken Rocket Mortgage.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, they do lots of home mortgages. So I want to come back to a few minutes ago, something I talked about. I said, I don't want you to pay too much. And I asked you a question and I said this, "Are you familiar with our current market conditions?" And you said, "Not really."
Hmm.
There's a second condition that I want you to be aware of. Paying too much is one of them. But the second one, and really important, is the lender that you use. Because homes are selling so quickly, and I am not steering you in any fashion. You can use Rocket Mortgage, you can use Green Tree Online, you can use anybody you want. But one of the deciding factors in your offer getting accepted will be who the lender is and how likely they are able to close the transaction. That's what the seller and their agent will determine by the letter that we provide, the approval letter that we provide. So if it's okay with you, I would love to send you the name of a couple of local lenders and ask that you pick up the phone and call them and see if you like them as well as the other people that you've talked to. And again, I am certainly not telling you have to use one of them, but if we miss out on a house or two because we have an online lender that people are a little skittish about, it might come back to that reason.
Yeah, I was just trying to do what was right. You're the pro in this situation, so I'm just worried about my credit being run, because I know that they
Yep.
ran my credit and everything.
Yep. And unfortunately for our credit scores, yes, they do. But fortunately, the underwriters understand that. And especially if they see that it was 2 or 3 mortgage companies, you're probably going to be okay if, in fact, you're credit worthy at this time. So don't
Okay.
worry about that. Let me worry about the heavy lifting, and you worry about the fun part, which is just getting through this and finding the house that you think will suit your needs. Okay.
Okay.
So here's what's going to happen next, Josh. Because you're not pre-approved yet, I'd like to get that done immediately at your convenience, of course. So I'll send you that email today. You're going to send me one with your list of everything. I'm going to send you one, and I'm going to include both of those documents that were in your buyer package that need to be signed should you decide you want to go forward with me. I'm going to send you a couple of local lenders, and at your convenience, I'd like to ask you to pick up the phone and call both of them. Be as honest with them as you were with me. I don't have a lot of time. I really just want you to do your job and get and buy a house. Be super honest with them because it helps us serve you well. Here's why I want to do that. I'm going to start sending you listings. I'm going to start today, in fact, and I don't even actually know what price point you're approved at, but I do know, because you're going to send me the listings, that it's probably going to be in about that area because of what you've done homework wise and payment wise. So you get me that information. I'm going to start getting you some information. And as soon as we have an approval letter, not a pre-approval, we want to be formally approved. It's called underwritten, because when we make an offer, Josh, if our offer is the best one, I want them to accept our offer because it's perfectly written. And I'd like this to be from start to finish, one of those 30 to 45 day transactions, if that's what you decide you want. Does that sound like a process that will work for you?
Yeah. The lenders that you're talking with me about, do they work after 5? Because I'm pretty booked up the rest of the day.
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, if I can be honest, unfortunately for all of us, we are here to serve you. And so if they don't work on a certain evening or a certain weekend day, they'll tell you, but they're available when you're available. We know you have to work. So yes. Okay. All right, Josh. Well, if you don't have any other questions for me, I'm going to get busy getting all this together for you, and I'll get it over to you. And I mean, at the drop of a hat, text, email, call, I'll be available. And if I'm not, I'm with another client, but I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Does that sound okay?
Well, I just have one more question. What do I have
Please.
to pay you?
You don't have to pay me anything. I get paid by the seller. The seller, every listing that's on the multiple listing service offers what's called a cooperating broker commission. So in this case, you're not paying me. Now, if you go to sell your house 7 to 9 years from now, then you're paying the commission and the buyer's agent is not paying the commission.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it requires nothing from you up front other than a commitment that if I'm going to work completely, totally for you to find your next home, that you're going to be committed to working with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Nice talking to you, Josh. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. We would love to have your critique, your questions, your anything at all, so that we can hopefully all get greater at this as time goes on. You can probably see the chat box. I don't know if I can see all of it, Josh, but let's see if we have any questions.
There's no questions right now.
No questions right now. Okay.
Christina O'Neill just asked, I forgot how much I love you.
I love you too. I told you that yesterday.
Somebody earlier asked a question about cold calling.
What is it? The question?
So when you cold call, who do you call and where do you get those numbers?
So is this a brand new agent asking this question?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Because I don't know who you're cold calling. Because ninjas don't cold call unless you're brand new to the area and brand new to real estate. We don't cold call. We call our friends and family and people that we know, and we talk to them about them. So I'm not sure. You can unmute yourself, whoever asked that question, and help.
New agent. I just got a response from one of our managers. He is a new agent.
Okay, and new to the area, then I'm going to assume. Probably yes. Okay, so here's my response. If you're a new agent and you're new to the area, first of all, here's the easy answer. You're not going to get their phone numbers. Now, let me give you a lengthier answer. You could, You could get them on white pages. There's all kinds of ways to get phone numbers. But my feeling in this market, and now I'm just going to kind of go rogue because this applies to everyone. In this market, if you're brand new and if you've been airdropped into a marketplace, I personally would pick a geographical farm, and I would door knock and bring them something of value. I'm feeling like right now what's working so beautifully as an item of value is a page with two sides to it. One side is all the activity from January, and no, not January, March to June 1st, 2019, March to June 1st, 2020, and let them compare for themselves in that neighborhood how COVID has affected the market. So I think that's super valuable, because everyone thinks that we're sleeping all day right now because we don't have anything to do. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Houses are selling, houses are closing, and we can show them rather than tell them, here's what's really going on. Any other questions?
We had Paula ask a question. With COVID-19, do you think door knocking will be welcomed?
So that's a really great question. And the answer is maybe, maybe not. And so if they don't answer, because they chose not to answer, you write a little note on it and say, I just wanted to drop off some information of value. If you have any questions, give me a call, and just leave it on the door under the mat. But please don't do that if it's against the rules. If it's gated, if there's CC&Rs that don't allow for solicitation, don't do it. Don't be known as that person that does everything we're not supposed to do.
You see the one from Christina?
Yeah. Do you ever offer to send sold properties of what your client might like that has sold in the past couple of months so they can see what types and what prices? Absolutely. Absolutely. Gives them a really good idea. And I'm sure you're doing this, Tina, but make sure you put list price, sale price, so they can see with their own eyes. Showing is better than telling, right? So show them that, yeah, it was listed at $350, it went for $379. Great idea. Anybody else? All right, guys. Well, I'm kind of guessing, although I haven't been invited, that maybe we'll be doing this via a seller process next time. So hopefully I'll see you soon. And thanks for helping me refine my skills. I hope you'll go out and practice with your friends. It's great to see all of you. All right. Thanks for being here.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.